Hello everybody, this is Travis for Tpull's Corner. Our opponent is flat x4 or flat times 4? Don't know, but I do know I'm playing mono black. And today's deck is called DSR. It stands for Discard, Sacrifice, and Reanimate. Because every now and then I like to look at the color pie and what really separates the colors. And black can do things like card draw, but blue is much better at card draw. Blue can draw the same number of cards with a spell and not have to give up any life. Blue's also better at mill, even though black can mill. So the type of stuff that we're talking about doing here, like discard, is stuff that black is primal in. And it's going to take him a minute to get out the Bonehorde Dracosaur. It sounds dirty if you say it another way. Let's see if we have enough time to get our stuff out. Nope, they're going for the ramp, so they're going to be able to afford the dragon no matter what. And they've got land, so doing a discard is not the best thing. I mean, you can go ahead and make them sacrifice the Lore Keeper.
When I win, you're telling me what you Haven't you ever heard of personal
Delay
space?
the Dracosaur by one turn. This player discards a card. We will get rid of one of our
Don't
expensive ones.
overthink
They'll
things.
get rid of land. And I think we get rid, or we put down Aquazats. I don't know why they chose Deepest Betrayal for the name. Maybe it starts in a foreign language and that's the nearest English translation. Attack of the Flyers. I don't want to sacrifice an artifact or a creature there. I do want them to sacrifice something, and oh, actually, hang on. If I do this now, have each player discard a card, I can discard
You
another
won't be
one.
outsmarting me.
Okay, they get rid of Atrax's Fall. Then I do Gix's Command. I can return up to 2 creatures from my hand. And so I get both of them back. And that's why I discard and reanimate. Then finally we get to attack. They have to discard another card. It's just another land. But since it is a land, I get a bat. Now, is that fair, I ask you? For 5, you get a 5/3 and a 3/3. They didn't attack. Okay, so that one's kind of... I mean, I could, right? They're tapped out. Let's see. Let's start here. Additional cost. Sacrifice an artifact or a creature. We sacrifice the bat. Put that down. We put that down as a blocker. We make them discard the card they've got. Finally, Rampaging Raptor. Okay, then do I make them sacrifice or... Yeah, they don't have a card. Let's make them sacrifice. They'll just get rid of the 0/1, but that's basically a 3/3.
Off you go.
And they got enough if they bum rush the Planeswalker, they would kill it next turn anyway. Okay, now if they can't, I get to draw another card from this, because they can't discard anything anymore. And the rest of my discard cards are coming in a little late. But, you know, if the Planeswalker survives, we can throw those away and not worry about anything now. Plus, we can afford the Grimdark finally. And since they can see this, they know they'd have to discard a card, so they definitely want to use whatever that is. Are they going to hit my face? And let me keep my Planeswalker? I'm not used to that. I'm still over 20 in life. Okay, so they don't have trample at all, so all they do is they lose 2 life points. I get 2 of mine back. Okay. What if I just leave the Planeswalker there as bait? Here, I gain 4 life back. I attack. Bam. Don't do anything else. Must be blocked. Okay. So they're just gonna hit me in the face and resign. And I'm still above 20. Sweet. I'll take it. Feels good. Alright, we are in the holiday season. I hope everyone's having a happy holiday. As we play the darkest of colors. I was sick for about 7-8 days straight. And so I did watch a couple of YouTube channels. And I got really bored seeing Shieldred, so I refused to put Shieldred in my mono black deck. As I said, DSR, discard, sacrifice, reanimate. There's synergies there, not only with each individual trait, but between and among the 3 traits that black is primal in. So what we've got, something I expected to see more of as soon as Hopeless Nightmare came out. Hopeless Nightmare is an awesome value card for only 1 mana. I mean, for starters, each opponent loses 2 life for just 1 mana, even without the discard. But not only use discard, but you can sacrifice it later and scry 2. I think that this is potentially overpowered, maybe. But I'm not seeing a surge in discard decks, probably about the same amount. I've got 1 Dread Fugue for early discard, and I can play the Cleave cost 2 and make them discard any card from their hand. We've got Bitter Triumph for removal. I have to sacrifice, I have to discard a card or pay 3 life, one or the other, to destroy a target creature or planeswalker. I've got Diabolic Intent. Again, there's a cost. I have to sacrifice a creature, but I can go search for any card I need. Extract the Truth makes them sacrifice an enchantment, or I can look at their hand and take away an enchantment, planeswalker, or creature. Fanatical Offering. Again, I have to sacrifice a creature or artifact, but I get to draw 2 cards and create a map token. Raven Man is good with discard. At the beginning of each end step, if a player, it doesn't matter if it's them or me, discards a card this turn, we get a 1/1 bird creature token with flying. You see pictured to the right. And if we have a lot of extra mana to sink into this, 4 mana means that each opponent discards a card. 4 copies of Braid's Fight, Frightful Return. I'm not sure if this is too many for this, but you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, each opponent discards a card. I can return a creature card from graveyard to my hand. And for the 3rd chapter, I can sacrifice a non-land, non-token. Or, sorry, the opponent may sacrifice a non-land, non-token permanent. If they don't, they lose 2 life and I draw a card. Almost everybody takes the choice of losing 2 life and letting me draw a card. The Etched Familiar, when it dies, opponent loses 2 life and gains 2 life, so we don't mind sacrificing this for any of our sacrifice cards. Braid's Arisen Nightmare, at the beginning of your end step, you can sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker, and the opponent has to match, or if they don't, they lose 2 life and draw a card, very similar to Braid's Frightful Return, right? The enchantment saga named after the legendary Nightmare. We have another legendary, Gix the Phyrexian Praetor. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to your opponent, I can pay a life, and if so, draw a card. And we can also pay to make them, we discard a number of our cards, and we exile the top X cards of their library, and we can play the lands and spells from there for free. 2 Lilianas, which makes sense for a discard deck, right? I could, most people would have 4. I only have 2. I haven't burned wild cards to get the other 2 yet, so 2 is what we deal with. 1 Rankless Prank. We get choices here. We can just have them do one of these, or we can do all of it. So discard 2 cards, lose 4 life, sacrifice 2 creatures, but I have to do that too, so I have to be willing to take part in the pain there. You just saw Aklazotz. This is the newest mythic rare legendary creature from Ixalan. 4/4 with flying and lifelink. Opponent has to discard a card whenever I attack with it. If they can't, I get to draw a card. Whenever they discard a card, if it happens to be a land card, I get a 1/1 black creature token with flying. And unlike the other one from Ravenman, the Ravenman ones can't block. These bats, they can block or attack. And when Aklazotz dies, return it to the battlefield tapped and transformed under its owner's control. It transforms into the Temple of the Dead to the right. And if I have 1 or fewer cards in my hand, I can transform it and bring it back. Bring back the bat. Other ways to bring stuff back: Edgar's Awakening. It can return it straight to the battlefield if I pay the full 5 cost. If I discard it, I can pay 1 and return a creature card from my graveyard to my hand. So if I've got something in the graveyard and I want to have some discard synergy here, I can discard this card, pay just 1 mana, and return whatever's in the graveyard to my hand. Geese's Command, nice little board wipe, 4 copies of it. Got 2 options to choose from out of 4, and because I'm on the Reanimate spiel, I'm using this more often to return 2 creature cards from my graveyard to my hand. Most of the other time, I'm usually using it as a board wipe with the 2nd and 4th choices to destroy each creature with power 2 or less and make them sacrifice the highest power. In this one, I'm much more willing. I think it's situation dependent, right? I won't be inflexible, but much more willing to use a 3rd cost or 3rd option than I usually am. And on the high end, 4 copies of cool Grimnark, 5/5 Death Toucher. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. If you can't discard a card, I gain 4 life. So I've got a little bit of life gain on the high end. And 2 Takanuma's Amanda Meyer in there. I didn't bother with any Field of Runes yet because I'm still kind of playtesting the whole thing out. But the first match went well just now. And usually what happens is I wait, and if somebody decides to put a whole bunch of the special lands in and I get my butt kicked by those special lands, then I'll go ahead and go tweak it. But right now I was just kind of lazy. I was focusing on the color pie. I didn't really pay much attention to my lands this time around just because I knew it was going to be mono black. Yeah, really surprised with Ixalan coming out that I don't see more discard decks. I'm getting a lot of expensive spells here. What can I do with this? I can't do anything with it just yet. Maybe we put down Liliana first. Maybe we put down Braids first. Decline to get rid of anything just yet. Gross. Let's see.
A fight? And you think you can win? I'm tired of your secrets.
I'm betting they don't have extra land. They do. They have extra land. Okay, so no attacks. We're not going to sacrifice anything just yet. Liliana should survive. Gross. They'll just fly over and ping the Planeswalker.
Watch it!
Let's see. If a player discarded this turn, yes. Okay. We're going to discard again. I'm going to discard this one.
You won't be outsmarting me.
Come along, come along. Okay, to get rid of Banishing Slash, we're going to auto-pay. Going to bring the creature back up to our hand. No attacks. At the beginning of the end step, we get the creature first, and then we sacrifice it to Braids. They can sacrifice a creature if they want. They don't. See, as usual, that gives us the mana we needed for Gix's command. We're going to lose Liliana.
I hope you're ready to lose. We've got the edge in this fight.
And they don't attack with the Vindicator.
Sorry, I'm not interested in dying today.
Okay, so we can give some extra counters, right? So let's do this. Let's go... Hang on. Did I throw away another creature? No, I got the creature back. Okay, so sacrifice the highest and 2 counters to Raven Man. And let's go after the Wandering Emperor with everything we've got. They might want to block with the Lunarch Veteran just to save the Planeswalker. They do. So you've still got your Wandering Emperor.
Going to go how you think.
Decline. I'm okay with where I'm at. We'll get rid of Raven Man, right? Pump up the Vampire, because why not?
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Okay, sacrifice again. What do I have? Do I have just the Raven Man in there? So I don't want to return anything yet. Let's go ahead and just do 2 counters again onto Braids. They lose that, and they finally lose their Planeswalker, and I'm at 29 life. Very great.
Try not to miss me.
No, I want to get up to 6 land with Cruel Grimnarch. I want to get the Grimnarch down. They can have their lands if they want. The copy just copies at the regular number of health points. Are they willing to sacrifice a creature? They should be willing to sacrifice a land, actually. That'll give them card draw. I'm gonna decline. See, they're tapped out. So, yeah, you lose what you have. Whatever card you just sacrificed your land to get. You lost the Angel. That's perfect. I don't need to do Chapter 1, so we're gonna go straight to Chapter 2. Return the only creature we have, bring it down. And since I did discard, I'm going to get a bat out of this. Which is lovely. Hopefully they block. Chump block? Yes, thank you. That was the wrong thing to do right then. Because we're going to get the bat first. Make sure the priority, then we sacrifice it. And that lets me draw a card and they lose 2 life because they don't want to lose their copy of Braids. Another Planeswalker. I'm so shocked.
I have been reborn!
These days, wherever the Wandering Emperor is, Archangel Elspeth is not far behind.
To the skies!
Really don't care. Sacrifice a land, I dare you. Braids is gonna have... We're gonna have fun with Braids and, Hopeless Nightmare. I don't know... Hang on. I get to draw a card, yes. Figured that. I don't know if... Because they call Braids the Nightmare, right? It's the creature type is a nightmare. Did they name Hopeless Nightmare in relation knowing about Braids? I don't think they did, because this is normally associated with Ashiok when we're talking about Eldraine. So I don't know. It's kind of a trivia question I'd like to know the answer to. But... let's see. They can't discard a card, so I gain 4 life. And we go ahead and attack. We'll get rid of the Planeswalker. We'll just hit straight to the face. And now I end the turn and we sacrifice the enchantments. We get to scry 2. Oh, that's lovely. Now, if they don't have an artifact creature, they've only got 5 mana. Even if they have a board wipe, we're so far ahead of the game. What are they going to do? Hit me for 5? Well, props to the opponent at least. A lot of the opponents are petty. They make sure to hit you and then run away. Instead, they just realized the game was lost and they conceded. So I prefer that rather than, oh, they always hit me and then run. Let's do one more. Yeah, so I wanted to put together a deck like this just to kind of show you, instead of just a pure discard deck, here we've got ways that we use the discard to our advantage with the other cards in Magic so that we can actually bring whatever we throw into the graveyard, we really have a chance to bring back as well. At least in the form of creatures. And they're throwing me against black, but a lot of this is really, really cheap creature stuff. So I expect them to have another creature now that's cheap enough to bring down. No? Aha! Yeah. Still kind of cheap. Lifelink out of it. Good for them. Let's just make them discard again. They should just want to discard the Ichor Drinker, actually. Okay, hopefully we don't miss a land drop. Next Familiar is just fine here. They might have a cut down, but we've got a second one ready. So they're very aggressive and cheap. But the fact that we gain a couple life from the Familiar each time helps us a little bit. It gives us time. And the only thing that really hurts us is if they have yet another removal this quickly. Uh-huh. Yeah, their life gain is kind of offsetting a lot of this stuff. Buzz went early. Sheesh, that's tough. That's exactly the wrong time for that card to come out. So, I'm actually going to discard. We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to die. That's all we could do. Very aggressive, cheap deck. And they had exactly the amount of removal they needed. And we did not get the greatest land draw out there. And we only have 4 of these in the deck. It's possible that 4 is too many because if you go by the way that Arena treated me for the last couple of years, if I have more than 2 cards that cost 5 mana or more, I tend to get punished. I tend to get them way too early, and they become dead cards in my hand. This is a little bit easier sometimes because I can afford to use them as discard fodder and then bring them back later. So it doesn't have to be as big a disadvantage as it is in other decks that I make. But you'll notice here again, I only have 4 of these, and I got 2 of them up front. So not the most promising start. But at least we got 4 lands. So we're more than halfway there to being able to cast them. Never mind. Okay, so we got 3 out of the 4 highest cost cards in my hand already. That's usually not a good sign. Usually means we're gonna die. So, 2Z, 3Zs, quick, cheap cost type things. Alright, we can afford the Grimnark in 2 turns. They got the black source down, which means they're going to have removal. I have all 4 Cruel Grimnarks. As usually happens. Well, maybe it'll work to my advantage finally. They gave me 6 lands. If they did make sure I hit all of my land drops, this is what can happen. Of course, now they've got... What does it matter when they've got flyers, right? They got flyers and an entire army going on here. I wanted to keep the Takenuma card, but they finally didn't give me a land. Okay, so they have to discard something. It's a little late in the game for our discard to be working, but they still, and that's still, they can bring that back. And they basically have half a dozen creatures now. Okay, let's make them discard another card. Aha! They didn't use Deadly Derision. Interesting choice. They're trying. They are trying. They hit me with everything? They're gonna hit me with everything. Let's get rid of the 2 small ones. Yeah? Let's get rid of 1 big one. Okay, so 1 discard. That's good. 1 Gix's command, destroy power 2 or less, and sacrifice the highest. That gets rid of the flyer. Oh, hello. That doesn't get rid of the flyer. I messed that up. Highest power. I was thinking mana cost. That was entirely my fault. Yeah, I'm dead. And since I didn't get my land drop, I wasn't able to make them discard and get the 4 life. So I just die. That was my fault. I wasn't reading the cards right. So maybe I should have just blocked. Yeah, it was still a good game. That was my fault. I don't think that Arena did me any favors by giving me all 4 of the most expensive cards in my deck. That gets a little tiresome. The only reason that I haven't been complaining about it lately is because I keep making decks with Hidetsugo and Carry. And then if they give me the most expensive card, I start winning. And then the Magic algorithm catches on after the first 3 or 4 matches, and they start burying my more expensive cards. Because it finally understands that I'm doing things backwards of the way I'm supposed to be doing things. And that the higher power cards actually help me win. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this now. We want information. What do you have? Let's see. Galta and Mavrin, Elish Norn, Huntsman's Redemption. This is the earliest thing that they can bring out. Yeah, let's get rid of the earliest thing they can bring out. This is another problem. 3 Edgar's Awakenings. Thanks a lot. Let's see. Do I do this now? Let's wait. I just get so little value out of that if I play it now. Get a cami. Use a cami.
When I win, you're telling me what you know about the Raven Man.
Okay, so they keep the cami, never mind.
I've always
use that
hated
to ramp into
crowds.
Elish Norn too. Okay, fine. Let's do... Let's just go straight to the third. Thank you. Needed that. Okay, so now, discard a card. We get rid of the expensive one
Don't
that we can't
overthink
cast.
things.
They get rid of an Elish Norn. Kind of surprised, but are they going to bring down Galta and Mavrin? Witch's Web. And then Galta and Mavrin. Then they can afford it, right? Okay, perfect. That's what we wanted. Rankle's Prank. Let's see. I don't have 2 creatures. I only have 1 in the graveyard. They've got 1 card left. Let's just do lose 4 life, and each player sacrifices 2 creatures. And then... Oh, and they don't hang around for anything else. Aww. Aww. Well, they knew if they get a creature down, I can get rid of it with Liliana, so I automatically had removal. Alright, those were going kind of fast, so I think I have time for one more. So there's a cost that's associated with everything we do, right? If we're discarding, a lot of times there's a cost that we also have to discard. If there's a sacrifice involved, even if it's something like removing one of their creatures, we have to sacrifice something. If it's card draw, we have to sacrifice something. There's sacrifice all over the place. And sometimes, depending on the card you choose, there's a sacrifice that's demanded when we're talking about reanimation too. But less so there. So I just wanted to try and take advantage of what Black has to offer and kind of show how you can turn things around and try and take things that would normally be a drawback, and you can actually use them to your advantage. You can pump that one up later. Don't care about the onesies twosies, but here's another discard spell. That's good to get those early. They can't really stop that. They might be willing to... I'd be surprised if they used like an Atrax's Fall on this and destroyed it. Just to remove... You know, if I sacrifice it, then I can get the Scry. If they destroy it, I don't. Kami's Flare, that's good. Get rid of a removal card. Map token for you. And let's see. Do we want to have them discard? Yeah. Each player discards 2 cards, loses 4 life, sacrifices creatures. Let's go for broke. We're going to get rid of both of those. They have to choose which 2 to get rid of for them. They have 2 play with fires. Now we just need 1 more land. And they're kind of stuck. They've got to wait and rebuild. Whereas we can just bring this right back to our hand and make them discard the card they just drew. I love this game sometimes. Oh, hello. Okay. You know, I was looking forward to, you know, maybe doing some more stuff with my scry. Well, they were already down to 12 by that point. Oh, those games went kind of fast. Yet another deck that's performing better than I expected. And no Graveyard Trespassers, no Shieldrids, no Phyrexian Obliterators in sight. I still don't have a Phyrexian Obliterator yet, I don't think. So yeah, using cards that some of them you don't normally see. Sometimes you'll see Raven Man in a discard-themed deck, but I haven't seen him in a while. I think the most common card that I've got is Liliana the Veil, and then we have Gix's Command. When you look at the removal cards that I have, we've got just 1 copy of the Bitter Triumph. We've got... I think you could count Liliana as removal because you can have him sacrifice a creature. And we've got sacrifice with the 1 copy of Rankle's Prank. And then Gix's Command counts as 4 removal. So that's still only 8 removal cards in our discard deck. It's kind of low on removal for the current environment. But as always, what I tend to do is I start with minimal removal. Not a whole ton of interaction in that sense, and then I scale up as I need to as I get my butt whipped. But we did pretty well with this outing, and yet another deck that I was thinking I would create and discard, no pun intended. But it's kind of fun sometimes. There's some people that if you get just a slight advantage with the discard and you get rid of the resources in hand, that they just have no interest in playing anymore. I've had some matches already just playtesting this where I make them discard on turn 1 and they quit. So that can happen too. So as always, if you have a good discard deck and you want to get your wins in quick for the day, sometimes people just don't want to play against discard. Some people, you know, they hate mill the most. That's more aggravating for them. Some people hate the pure counterspell decks, the control decks. Some people are getting tired of just going up against mono black with Shieldred, and a Shieldred appears and they scoop. But there's a sizable portion of the Magic Gathering that has had enough bad encounters with discard decks that they just won't have any of it. In the first turn or two, they'll scoop. But as always, recently, you know, I'm trying to find longer, more drawn-out games where the opponent will stay to the end and not just scoop when they still have more than half their life left. Because the kind of things that I tend to build tend to start slow and build with time until it becomes really overpowering. And most people aren't hanging around for the overpowering. So... as always, leave your comments. Let me know if the battles are going good enough to be exciting for you or if people are just scooping too early. And like and subscribe and answer the poll at the end of the year here. With the new year, I will go with the most votes. Either I will debut with the deck tech or I will start as I do right now and I'll do a match first and then go into the deck tech. So the poll is up there on the community post page for you all to vote and decide which one of those 2 you want me to do starting with the new year. Again, thank you all for being my audience. We're growing slowly. I appreciate all of you, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and hope you have a Happy New Year. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.